to jam out. So, all right, we are live tonight. Live tonight, guys. Hasn't popped up yet. It says live.
Here we go.
It's Facebook a liar. There we go. Don't cut me off, Facebook. That's right. Dale's known for
I always forget.
Always leaving it up. So
Yep.
we'll wait for some people to join in tonight. Got a few minutes, guys. Just when you log on and when you start the video with us, just make sure and say hello in the comments so we know who we're having a conversation with tonight. Very excited for tonight's conversation. As you see, we have a guest next to us, and we'll talk a little bit about him in a few minutes.
What's up, Paul?
Hey, Paul. How's it going, man? So we're going to listen to some tunes for about 60 seconds, and then we'll get started. We'll get rolling, guys. Yeah, we'll try and stay around town a little bit, because seem to find out that when we get out of town or we hit the highway, all of a sudden we lose connection.
Yeah.
And that
weird. I did that last
does not make for a good show.
Yeah.
When you,
road noise too.
Joe, what's up, Joe?
yeah, hey Joe, how's it going? All right.
It'll give you a nice version to drive around in.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, you know, Ford does this for us, and like we're super thankful to them. Man, they put us in a different vehicle every Thursday we do this with somebody. You know, from a nice Jeep to now this is the biggest vehicle and that they've ever put us
We
in.
had the first F-150, the first
We did.
night.
We did.
So it's cool, whatever they want. It's just nice of them to do it.
Yeah, we're super grateful for it. They just kind of partnered with us, and I'm like, guys, you don't even know who we are, and they're like, well, that's all right. You know, we're all about community, and I'm like, hey, we'll take it. We'll take what we can get, man.
Yeah, I've known Sean Jeffrey for about 8 years.
Gotcha. He's a good dude.
Guy. Yeah, he's the one that got he hunted all over to find the truck from the show.
Did he?
Yeah. So,
Gotcha.
Because at the show, because I won the 250.
Right.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, because of COVID and everything, by the time the season finale aired, the 2020 production line had shut down. So
COVID. Gotcha.
I knew that I wanted a 2020, and if we couldn't find one, then I had to go with the 2021, which would be several more months because
Right.
of the production line.
Yeah.
But I knew that I was going to put lift kit, wheels, tires, some aftermarket products on the truck, and I knew if I got a 2021, more than likely those components wouldn't be available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Sean hunted and sent out hundreds
I'm sure.
of emails to reaching out to dealers because the trucks were available. They were just on rail cars and in transit.
Right. They weren't actually there yet.
Yeah, so we had to find somebody that was willing to wheel and deal with them to get the truck
Right.
here.
Hey, Gigi. Good evening. Well, it's 6 o'clock, guys.
Let's get started.
Let's do it. So
Yeah,
we
I'm
do
ready.
a little
It's our little
a little thing that we do when we start a show. So we'll start off with, I'm Jonathan,
I'm Dale.
And I'm Murph.
and you're watching Straight Up Guy Talk. There we go. It's kind of what we do. A little silly, but we do it. So we have fun doing it. But, well, hey, guys, as you see next to us, we have Kelly Murphy. He is the 2020, or just season 1, Tough as Nails champion. And we're super stoked to have you tonight, man.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Yeah, we're pumped. We already had Miss Gigi said she wants you to know that she had so much fun watching you compete. Great job. Mr. Blaine Baldwin's giving a shout out. My mom's even watching. Dude, she don't even watch when it's just me.
She does.
What's up with
That's
that,
true.
Mom?
That's true.
But no, we're excited. You know, we're going to talk about a little bit about really whatever you want to talk about, Murph. But you know, your past and how you got to this point. You know what you're doing now after the show. So
we talked a little bit prior to starting live about, you know, where you from here. You know, where are you from? Like, kind of just walk us through your life. If you have any questions, guys, like always, ask the question. We'll kind of stop the conversation and have him answer that. Do you want to go by Kelly? Do you want to go by Murph? What do you want to go by tonight?
I've been going by Murph since I was probably a little kid.
Okay.
So.
All right, so we're gonna go by Murph tonight.
I want to jump in. Carol Matthews, what's up, Carol? She says hi, Kelly.
Tell her I said hi.
Yeah.
So you can tell her
Yeah,
right
you
here.
tell her.
Hi, Carol. It's a little bit different doing it live.
Yeah.
Sure.
I've done several live stuff, but most of the stuff that I do is taped or
It's
podcast
Sure.
or
Yeah.
stuff like that.
We like doing it live because it's a one and done. If we mess up, so what?
That's right.
You know?
I'm a perfectionist, so man, if we pre-recorded it, we would never get done.
Oh man.
So
But anyway, your question, John.
yeah.
So I was born in Indiana, and when I was 2, my parents moved to Southern California because my dad's a California native. Lived there till almost, I forgot the age, but it was right before my 8th grade year of school. So we moved from California to Indiana in a very small town. To this day, the town has, I think, 4 four-way stop signs. No stoplights still. The post office is about half the size of the Warrensburg post office.
Okay.
A small grocery store that has 2 gas pumps out in front of it. So just a really small town surrounded by corn or soybean fields, depending upon the time of the year or what they're planting, I should say, that year. Didn't really do. I was a BMXer, rode a BMX bike because that's what we did in California growing up. Those of you that are old enough remember the movie Rad.
Oh yeah.
So that was the life back then, and
I'm barely old enough, but I'm old enough, I think.
So I played a little bit of sports in high school. I really didn't play anything until my junior year. I played football, threw the shot put and discus, did some wrestling just for practice. I mean, the coach thought it was a good idea to do some of the practices just to get in shape. Really wasn't a great student, but wasn't a bad student. I got decent grades, but I knew that just the college environment wasn't for me. So I checked out some trade schools, truck driving school, pretty much all kinds of different technical schools. But I also was heavily influenced growing up by veterans. My dad was a Vietnam veteran from the Army.
Okay.
And then one of my coaches was a former Marine, and he was very powerful in influencing a lot of us kids. And so he had a lot of good things to say in the way he carried himself. And I used to deliver newspapers. One of the gentlemen I delivered for was a former Marine that was actually on he was on the beaches of Iwo Jima during World War II. So he talked to me about what the Marine Corps meant to him when he served. So the military was always something on my mind. And then one day in February of my senior year, February 1990, one of my friends turned around and said, "What are you doing after school today?" And I said, "I have no plans." He's like, "Why don't you talk to the Marine Corps recruiter with me?" So I said, "Sure." So we went and talked to the recruiter. I liked what he had to say. I liked the way he carried himself. His uniform is obviously spot on.
Right.
Just everything that he had to say and the way he just talked about the opportunities. And it just wasn't about really, the Marine Corps talks more about the intangible qualities, like the pride, self-discipline, physical fitness, things of that nature.
So you've said the phrase, how they carry themselves quite a bit already. So that seems important to you.
Yes, yeah, it was very important. It was somebody that you could really look up to, and you know that you could trust and rely on them. So that was on a Monday. I went home and told my parents. My mom wasn't really too shocked because she kind of knew that the military was something I was probably really interested in. And then that Wednesday, they went and met with the recruiter, signed the appropriate paperwork to allow me to go up and do the physical.
Wow. And
that Thursday afternoon, I remember the recruiter picking me up after school. He was at the flagpole, and this time in his full dress blues. And I walked out of the school, probably with my shoulders the furthest back they ever been, standing up tall, because I knew that guy was there for me. That was my ride.
That's cool. That's cool.
So
that's very cool.
It was just because I'm strutting out basically of the school, because I was a pretty shy kid, didn't have a lot of friends. But when I met him,
that meant something to you.
Yeah, I'm like, cool. That guy's here for me.
That's
so
cool.
He took me up to Indianapolis. Took the ASFAB, the test you have to take to qualify you for different jobs in the military.
Okay.
Spent the night in the contracted hotel. The next day you do the physical with the doctor, the whole 9 yards, and then that afternoon I enlisted in the Marine Corps for 6 years. So
it's a pretty quick process, man.
Yeah, it was pretty fast. But I think once in my mind I knew that I wanted something like that.
Yeah.
And then just the recruiter was just that powerful that he really confirmed my decision that day I talked to him.
Hey, Glenno, we want to say, make sure to say hi to people coming on.
Mason says hi, man.
Mason says he's my 5-year-old, man.
That's your boy.
He, yeah, Mason's my 5-year-old. He's my every Thursday. We do a morning with Mason. And Mason we always say, Mason, what time or what day is it? It's Thursday. Well, what's on Thursday? Straight up guide talk. So we gotta say hi to him. So hey, Jandy. Jandy's one of our main commenters, man. She will ask questions and make comments the whole time. So she's consistent. But so we're getting to know Murph a little bit better. Dale and I don't know him. We've never met him. You know, I've got some friends that know you, you know, that know about you. And so it's really cool just to get to ride around with you and talk with you. So, but very cool. So you've talked about kind of where you've grown up at, you know, how the military has really shaped you as far as who you are. You were a shy kid, and then, you know, when you knew that he was there for you, it just kind of, something inside you just switched.
Yeah, it was definitely confirmed my decision. So when I enlisted, I was part of the delayed entry program. So it was in February, like I said, of 1990. I graduated in May, and then I shipped to boot camp in November of 1990. Went to San Diego, California, because the Marine Corps has two locations for their recruit training. One is at Parris Island, South Carolina. The other's in San Diego, California.
Okay.
And it just depends upon what part of the United States you live on or live in to determine where you go to boot camp. So
Gotcha.
I went to San Diego, graduated February of 1991. Usually come home for a few days for leave. It's really a good way for the Marine Corps to advertise, because they send you back home in your uniform, and then, you know, all your friends that are still not doing anything get to see you.
You're like, look, I'm doing something you're not, man.
Yeah,
cool.
So it's a really good advertisement. And sometimes they keep you back for a few extra days to do some recruiting, you help the recruiter basically. So while you're out there, you're the face of the Marine Corps. So
that's neat.
So I did that for a few extra days. I went to my first occupational, or my first military school was in Millington, Tennessee. I learned basic electronics. Since then, that school's closed up now. It's all moved down to Pensacola, Florida. It was a Navy base, and I ended up getting orders to work on helicopters. So that first school just preps you to learn electronics, and then the Marine Corps sent me to Camp Pendleton, California, where I learned electronics and aviation and weapon systems on the Huey and Cobra.
That's cool.
So I was in that school for about 3 months, and then after that school, then I got orders to my first duty station, which was right on Camp Pendleton. It was an attack helicopter squadron. So I did 2 deployments with that squadron. One was a 6-month, I think the other was a 7th month. Just went all over the globe in support of the Marine Corps mission. Did some stuff in Somalia, the Middle East, even went down to Australia for a little bit. Just, it was part of because we were out that deployment, I was on a Navy ship. So when you deploy on a Navy ship, the Navy actually has a whole fleet of ships that support the Marine Corps mission. They call them like the Gator Navy. So they're ships specifically designed to support the Marine Corps. So we were attached to one of those ships. So we did a lot of things down in the South Pacific. And then my first 6 years was up before I knew it. That it was time to re-enlist.
You did it again.
Yeah, and then so I re-enlisted for 4 years, another 4. This time the Marine Corps said, hey, we want you to be an instructor. So I taught at the school that I went to learn my job. So the new Marines coming to me from, at this time, Pensacola, because like I said, Millington had shut down and moved its operations. So then the Marines coming from Pensacola, they would come to my school. We would teach them electronics, avionics, and weapon systems on 2 different Marine helicopters. I did that job for 4 years, and then before you know it, it was time to re-enlist again.
You did it again.
Yeah, so I raised my hand, re-enlisted. For some of the senior promotions in the Marine Corps, it helps to have what's called special duties.
Okay. What are special duties?
So special duties for the Marine Corps, you have, like, we call it the big 3. You have drill instructor duty, where you train recruits to be Marines. Right. Recruiting duty. Okay. And then you have embassy duty. So Marines are in charge of guarding the embassies that are overseas. Right. So I volunteered because my MOS was very technical, and they didn't allow people to leave that job. They want, because of the shortages, but I knew that if I volunteered for recruiting duty, because nobody volunteers for recruiting duty. Like, it's the hardest duty to fill. So I volunteered for recruiting duty, and the Marine Corps selected me for it. I went to recruiter school, which basically, recruiter school you already know what it's like to be a Marine. They talk to you about how to talk to the young men and young ladies. Really, and when you talk, you're learning about, like, what's the need behind the need. Like, because the Marine Corps doesn't sell jobs, the Marine Corps sells futures. So when you meet with the Marine Corps recruiter, they'll never talk to you about a job. They talk to you about why you want to be a Marine. Once you decide you want to be a Marine, then we look at what you're going to do in the Marine Corps.
Gotcha.
The job is always
secondary.
It's always secondary.
Gotcha. Very cool.
And that's not talking bad about my daughter is in the Navy, and when the recruiter came, he talked to her about jobs. What job do you want to do?
Okay.
And that's the way the other branches
kind of the difference
do it.
of
That's
them.
just the difference. But when you join the Marine Corps, the first things the recruiter's going to ask you is, why do you want to be Marine? And then some recruiters will even go, well, why should I let you in my Marine Corps? Because it's a very prideful thing.
Right.
So anyway, I got my orders. I recruited out of a small town in southern Indiana, about 29 miles north of Louisville, Kentucky. Really, it was a very difficult job. It's probably one of the hardest jobs I ever did in the Marine Corps.
Recruiting.
Because, yes, especially, I mean, think about if you're a parent, think about how many recruiters call your kids when they're a junior and senior.
That's true.
So
we just had recruiters come today.
Yeah, we did.
At school.
Yep.
So yeah.
So yeah, when I started recruiting duty to get because my mission was 2 applicants a month to enlist. When I first started, to get those 2 applicants, you have visits to make, and you actually track your phone calls. So you have to make this many phone calls to get this many people to answer.
Right.
Get this many people. Well, my average to start off, I had to make 1,200 phone calls a month.
Ooh.
So you're scheduling blocks of your time just to make phone calls.
Phone calls.
But I found my way was a little bit the way I had more success, and every recruiter's different. I went into the schools, so I ended up getting my Indiana substitute teaching license. So I actually became a substitute in a few of my schools.
Hey, we're looking for a substitute for the next week.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure it's times, but yeah, you're welcome too. Absolutely.
Yeah,
well, very cool. It's to get into the schools and
to
build relationships.
a relationship with the teachers.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so it ended up, one of the teachers had dialysis every Thursday, so every Thursday for a year I substituted a study hall. And a study hall, all you do is I kept the class down to a low roar and we talk about Marine Corps stories.
Wow.
It's different stuff. And then the teachers would ask me, can you talk, hey, we're covering World War II, can you talk about what the Marines did in World War II? And then I had a very good friend, unfortunately he just passed away. He was a Korean Vietnam veteran. So I would bring Tom into the school with me because the kids would be talking about the Vietnam era. So he would come in and talk about what his experience was like in Vietnam. So it was a great way to tie in the military to support the community. This community supported the military. So that year I had 8 young men from that high school, to include the senior class president, the all-star wrestler, the National Honor Society president, all joined the Marine Corps.
Wow.
So it was
your 2, was easily met.
Yeah, so it was.
That's cool.
It was an amazing, and to this day, those young men and I still are friends on Facebook and communicate with each other.
That's neat, man.
Not all of them. Some of them unfortunately have passed away, but I still have a great relationship with that community.
Right.
Actually, I try to go back every year if possible, just to say hi to who I can.
Sure.
I want to jump in. We got a few people. We got Kevin Hawk Williams saying, "Good afternoon, gentlemen."
Good afternoon.
Hey, Kevin.
What's up, Kevin? We got Miss Livia's watching. Olivia Boyer, one of our teachers. Gigi and it's like Glenna Booth said, "Thank you for your service."
Yep.
Thank you.
Glenna's a veteran as well.
"Good evening, guys." So, Baca will be doing child abuse awareness at Bilo in Warrensburg if you're interested. Yes, Kevin, we're
that's
interested.
right. Yep.
Yep. Absolutely. We'd love to be there with you guys. So, yeah, that's some people just giving some shout outs and had a few words to say. Cool. But, yeah, Kevin, I'll catch up with you this week sometime and we'll figure it out. But cool. So you got through the Marine Corps. Where did you go for? I mean, did you kind of like have to take a deep breath and like, what do I do now?
Well, after recruiting, I went back to Camp Pendleton, spent a few years at some different units, and then I got promoted to first sergeant, which is a senior enlisted. So I was a senior enlisted advisor to a company commander. So I went to the infantry for a few years, did a few deployments, and there's my oldest daughter right there.
Oh, no way.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, she runs that store.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
but so I went, did a few deployments with the infantry battalion. So then, once the deployments are over with, so the Marine Corps tries to take you out of the fight, so to speak. So every couple deployments, they try to send you somewhere non-deployable.
Okay. Makes sense.
During that 2.5 years I was with 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, I was only home for about 6 months. So for the Marine Corps, when you're not overseas, you're training somewhere, whether or not you're in the middle of Camp Pendleton,
right,
where you hike out on maybe a Monday or truck out or fly out and get helo dropped. You spend a few days out in the field, then you come back.
Were you married at the time?
Yep,
by that time?
Yep, and 3 kids.
3 kids.
So
gotcha.
I missed about a good chunk of their life growing up. But so the Marine Corps sent us to Fort Leonard Wood, which is, those of you that know where Fort Leonard Wood is, it's about an hour and a half south of, almost 2 hours, I guess, south of here. It's on Interstate 40 between, or 40 between St. Louis and Springfield. So we went down there. We got to enjoy coming home every night because it was a training command. So Marines don't deploy down there. It's all schools.
Okay.
So that year I was down there, I got to see the kids every night, got to see the family, and knew that if I stayed in any longer, then I would be deploying again. And at the time, my oldest daughter, I believe, was in 7th grade. So I made the decision to retire at 22 years so I can watch them grow up.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
and then that put me on the job hunt. I had a few opportunities. I did several interviews. I had the opportunity to interview with the Lowe's store here in Warrensburg as the HR manager. And then I also had the opportunity to interview with the Springfield store. So this interview came first, the Warrensburg did. So we drove up here, drove around the community. I did the interview. After the interview, I changed at a local hotel, put some normal clothes on because I was in a suit and tie.
Right.
We drove to Lee Summit, Independence, just checked out the local community.
Yeah.
Drove back to Fort Leonard Wood area where our house was, and then just kind of waited on the phone call. Ended up getting the job offer, and the family stayed back until they finished that years of school.
School year. Yeah.
So I came up here in the summer and stayed at the Air Force Base at the base lodging for a couple months, and then once we found a house and got the move going on, then the family joined me up here in October of 2012.
I bet that was hard being away from your family even for that long, you know?
It was, but it was almost like a deployment again. So
kind of used to it.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they knew that, and I would drive back on the weekends. So when I wasn't at work, I would just drive home and spend at least a day and a half or 2 days, or they would come up here.
Right.
So we can
you make the time.
house hunt and stuff like that. So
Well, Jandy says she's not too far from Fort Leonard Wood.
sweet.
So
Yep, very cool. Claudia's watching. Is that what it says? Claudia? Can't see from this distance. I think it is. Claudia's watching. Gigi's still watching. If you guys have any comments for Murph or just any questions, just feel free to always ask those questions. We will pass them along to him so he can talk with you a little bit. So we've talked a little bit about your military career, talked a little bit about your family, just kind of briefly. Let's get into it.
let's talk about the show.
Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. How did it all come about? Getting onto the show, tough as nails.
Awesome. So when I retired from the Marine Corps, I got reached out to by a t-shirt company and said, hey, we're a startup company. We do apparel for athletes, and we think you would be a good rep. So they reached out to me on Facebook and they said, yeah, we would like for you to advertise for us. We'll mail you some shirts. You throw it on social media. So, hey, we want you to start an Instagram account.
Sure.
So I'm like, okay. So I started an Instagram account, just having fun with it. It was all centered on workout stuff, or I'd post an occasional throwback photo from like the military.
Sure.
And then the Instagram just kind of grew a little bit. And then in January of 2019, out of the blue, I got a message from a guy by the name of Jonathan. He said, "Hey, I'm Jonathan from the Discovery Channel."
Can't trust those Jonathans, man.
Yeah,
Can't trust them.
Yeah.
Can't trust them.
Yeah, I had to background check him.
There you go. There you
so
go.
he sent me a message saying, "Hey, we're putting together a show. We would like to talk to you about it." So I thought it was a joke or a scam. I didn't believe him. And he said, "No, check me out." He gave me some info to check him out, and he was a legit guy. He was a casting producer. So I took his call. We talked that night, and then we set up a Zoom call. So I did some Zoom casting calls for the Discovery Channel. Unfortunately, their show just really never went anywhere. So, but I thought it was a cool experience. I never did casting for a TV show before, nothing I was looking to do. And then the months went by. Like I said, that was January 19. Then in October, out of the blue, Jonathan said, "Hey, CBS is doing this show. I'm not casting for it, but you would be great at it, but you need to fill out this link." So I filled out this link, and then the next day CBS contacted me and said, "Hey, can you do a Zoom call?"
The next day, huh?
Yeah, so
Wow.
I did a Zoom call with Gabriel from CBS Casting, and then a few days later, he said, "Hey, we sent your casting call to the producers. They loved it. They would like to do a Zoom call, another one." So this time, my second Zoom call was with Phil, the host of the show.
Okay, that's cool.
His wife, Louise, co-producer, and then the other producers and some people from CBS. I don't know, maybe several weeks, almost a month went by, and then they said, "Hey, Murph, we're going to fly you out to California for the casting process." So I flew out to California the week before Christmas. I was out there for 5 days where we do different kind of casting stuff. We do like some mental tests, some physical stuff. You answer some questions on camera. Really, it's just a big
live
process.
interview?
Yeah, pretty much a live interview, a live taping. You're really just talking about yourself on camera.
Okay. It's kind of what you're doing now.
Yeah, pretty much.
There you
So
go.
it's just
There you go.
really something they can capture, and then something they can maybe make their choices later if they had to.
Right.
And then I left, thought, well, that was a great experience. And then that was, like I said, that was right before Christmas of 2019, and like 2 days after the new year, Jenny from CBS Casting, the director of CBS Casting, called and said, "Hey, we want you on the show."
That's cool.
So they're like,
That's
"We need
really
you to block off. This is the time period we need. We need you out here for 30 days. So at the time, I had just started at UCM. So I didn't really have the time off. So I went and talked to Dr. Best and explained to Dr. Best, about the show and everything. And he's like, okay, he understood that it could be a good thing. So, he allowed me to take the time that I needed to go do the show, since I didn't have the vacation time.
Sure.
So we went out there. I think I flew out on the 13th of January. As soon as you get there, you turn in all your cell phones, computers, everything. So you have no communication with the family or
I'm going to
any
jump in. I'm
friends.
sorry, guys.
Sure.
Not everybody knows. Jandy asked, she missed it. What show is it again?
Oh,
So, Murph, just tell us the name of the show, and
Gotcha.
when we know it, but tell us.
Yeah, the show's called Tough as Nails. It's on CBS. So if you're familiar with The Amazing Race, Phil Kogan is the creator and host of The Amazing Race. He's also the host and creator of Tough as Nails. So, and it's really it's a reality show based upon the blue collar trades. So everybody on the show comes from a blue collar field. So for example, season 1 had a drywaller, a welder, an iron worker, a farmer, so deputy sheriff, a firefighter, foreman of a scaffolding crew. So we had a wide variety, a roofer, and then I was the veteran on the show.
Cool.
So it's just, many people know that the military is made up of a bunch of blue collar traits. We just
Absolutely.
joke around and say green collar.
yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
That is
Very
a great
cool.
concept too.
That-
It really is.
It
a cool
is.
concept. Yeah.
well, Phil
And-
Phil's an immigrant. He immigrated from New Zealand.
Okay.
But in New Zealand, growing up, he was heavily influenced by his grandfather, who was a mechanic and gunsmith during World War II. So he wanted to create a show to honor like people like his grandfather. So Phil has actually been trying to get CBS to do this show for probably almost 10 years. Well, last year CBS agreed to it. You know, they allotted some money for the show, and then you know Phil did the casting tour last year. So some people got cast by they did tours. They called a mobile stage with the F-250 or 450, whichever truck they were using.
Right.
And they went to places like St. Louis and New York and Vegas, and they set up a big stage and did like a casting tour for Tough as Nails.
That's pretty neat.
So he really put a lot of heart and effort into getting the show put together for season 1. So
that's cool.
The show's unscripted. Phil said, all I need you to do is be yourself and do the stuff as fast as you can.
I think that's really cool.
So
yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I wasn't asked to say anything, do anything other than be myself.
Right. Yeah, that's neat.
What was the hardest part of the show? You said you did all in 30 days.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
So I'll tell you about how a normal day was, and then I can answer that question. So we stayed at an extended stay hotel. So we would get up in the morning we'd get to the hotel lobby about 6 a.m. where we'd eat breakfast. About 6:30 or so, we would get in the vans. So the audio crew would meet us there, and they would turn on our cameras and everything, because everything on the show was recorded. So our drive to and from the job sites. There was actually a third van, which was like a couple. That van is what we would follow, but it also had a few producers in there. They would tell us where we're going via GPS. We would put the GPS in, but we had no idea what we were doing that day. We would roll up on some job site. We'd get out of the van, walk up, and then Phil would say, "Hey, good morning."
So it's really unscripted.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is what you're doing today.
That's cool.
So,
man.
There were actually some times we would park, let's say we're on a street, they would blindfold us, and they would drive us around to the next street, then we would unblindfold, and then we were at the job site because if they couldn't hide what we were doing.
Right.
But everything, we had no idea what we were doing every day. You had no clue what you were doing until right when you got there.
That's pretty neat.
So we would film. We would film approximately 3 episodes a week. So we filmed Sunday through Friday. So Sunday we would film like the team challenge, and then we would do it that morning. Then we would break for lunch, and then the rest of the day was usually for interviews. So we do a ton of on-camera interviews. You would talk about the challenge, or how you did, what happened, and so we would get back on team days. We'd get back maybe 6, 7 o'clock at night. Just depends upon where the job site was, because our extended stay hotel was in Burbank, California, which is about 30 minutes, I think, north of LAX. But some of the jobs were in LA, downtown LA, south of LA, north of LA.
So you guys traveled.
Yep, so it just depends upon where the job site was on how late the day was. If it was a team day, then we would film in the morning, the team challenge, a break, they would do the overtime, and pretty much the same thing, interviews.
Right.
So we would film a team on a Sunday, individual Monday, team Wednesday, or Tuesday, individual Wednesday, Thursday team, Friday individual, Saturday was an off day. Saturday was a chance to, now this was right before COVID and everything, so we would we'd make a group trip to Walmart to pick up food for our room, do laundry, hit the hotel gym. That was about all you could really do, because like I said, we wanted to keep the integrity of the show, so we didn't communicate with home. Yeah. And then we did that for, like I said, 3 weeks. The first week of the show was actually like a lot of like some photo shoots, some video interviews. We actually spent half the morning, once you were confirmed to be on the show, we spent half the morning with HR, because you're now an employee of CBS, so you get HR classes just like you were if you were a new hire at a company. So, but yeah, we were out there for about 30 total days. So to answer your question in a long way, the hardest part was probably just getting used to not talking to family again, and the daily grind, so to speak.
Yeah. Got a question. Carol wants to know, what was your favorite competition?
Well, my favorite competition by far was the moving challenge.
Okay.
The reason why, so those of you that watch the show, my team, or the team I was on, Savage Crew, we won the first individual challenge, and then we literally lost like the next 4 in a row.
Ouch.
So comeback king, man.
So we, my team, you know, when you're first getting to know each other. So I guess the best way to say it, the show made me feel like I was in the military again. And the simple fact is, sometimes you have to go to another unit and you have to get to know a small group of people in a short amount of time to accomplish a mission. Well, the show felt like that, but instead of calling it a group of Marines or soldiers, I had to get to know 5 other castmates, get to know them, establish working relationships, what makes us tick, what doesn't make us tick, how we communicate with each other. And so
really your military career kind of helped you be prepared for it.
It really did, because like I said, it felt like the military, getting to know a small amount of people to accomplish this case instead of a mission, a work job.
Right.
You just answered my next question. I was going to ask you, what did you think your advantage was? Like, you know, you go into a situation, you're eyeing it all up, and you're looking for your edge, and it seems like that was it. You're able to build relationships.
Yeah, I think because in the military, we talked about this on the show a lot, is we butted heads a lot, and we got to know each other, and we call it surrendering your leadership. So all of us were leaders, but there's a point in time that the leader, whoever you designate that to be the leader of the job, they're the leader. So you have to let them lead. And we had trouble stepping on each other's toes. Well, once we communicated with each other, had a great understanding of the best way to communicate with each other, then the moving challenge is, so when we close the door on the moving van to win that challenge, and you see all of us jumping up and down, screaming, hugging each other, that is real emotion.
That's cool.
That is really us overcoming all those issues that we had and celebrating each other and celebrating the victory. So that by far is my favorite episode, is the moving challenge. You
see so many shows that you watch it and you're like, this is all fake. It's, you know, they call it reality, but it's all fake. This must be planned. So it's really kind of neat to know that it's genuine.
Yeah, it's 100% real.
That's cool.
If somebody asked if I would do the show, I'd say I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Cool.
Like, there was not a bad experience about the show. You know, we didn't get along all the time, obviously, because you see that on camera. We argued. You know, we didn't like each other sometimes, but we had a mutual respect for each other, and we wanted to win. So we did the things that it took to win, and that's getting to know each other, giving each other some grace if we made mistakes,
humility,
knowing that we're not perfect, and just a genuine care for each other. And before you knew it, we had a great bond, and to this day we have a group chat. So the last day we filmed was February of last year, and to this day we still chat.
That's neat.
And matter of fact, we actually had a season 1 Zoom call with 10 out of 12 of us. The other 2 that couldn't make it just couldn't make it because of work.
Sure.
But 10 out of 12 of us from season 1 got on a Zoom call.
Still talking. That's neat. That's very cool, man.
Yeah, it's a great group of people. They said it definitely is genuine, and they're casting season 3 now for anybody that's interested.
There you go.
So you go to casting at cbs.com. They're casting ladies and gentlemen right now for season 3. So if you're in the blue collar trades and want a part of some amazing experience, and give it a shot.
That's awesome.
Neat. Yeah,
that's cool.
Dale, you gonna do it?
What's that?
You gonna do it?
No, let's just keep going. This is going too good.
No, I mean, are you gonna do it? You gonna apply? You gonna?
Oh, am I
go for season 3?
I don't. Does pastors fall in? Now, years ago, I fell under blue collar, or maybe owning the trailer shop. That's definitely blue collar.
There you go.
I don't know if pastors. We got.
I think he could train you, man. I think he can train you.
I think I need some training for sure.
That's awesome.
You start sitting down behind that desk, you start to get wider than any taller.
Very cool.
Man, I hate that. I mean, like, we usually try to go 30 minutes. We're gonna keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I do have a question. You know, how long or how, like, as far as after you knew you won, like, you had to come back to your life, but like, you also had to keep it quiet for a while, right?
Yes. So we ended up filming. The last day was Valentine's Day, February 14th of last year, and then when I got back, they were very specific. I couldn't even tell anybody I went out to even film a show until they released the cast list. So in May, CBS, about May timeframe, CBS released, hey, tough as nails, here's the cast. This is what the show's about. Then I could tell people, yeah, I'm on the show. But that's really all you can tell them. Then,
So like your friends and I mean, how do you keep that from people you're close to?
well, it's pretty easy because CBS said that, hey, you could be liable for millions of dollars if you let the secret out. So
There's
Okay.
a motivating factor behind
I'm like,
it.
great,
Okay, there you go.
I don't have millions of dollars to
There you
give
go.
so
for this time frame, I have no
So
friends.
you
Awesome.
couldn't tell anybody. You couldn't tell your
Wow.
wife. You can't tell anybody.
now she knew, and my youngest daughter knew because they flew them out there for the finale.
Okay. All right.
So since season one, since the finale was on Valentine's Day, they had the top three family members,
That's neat.
family members fly out there. They told them they were flying out for a Valentine's Day special.
Okay.
Well, they didn't know that they were flying out to watch the finale, and we had no idea they were coming. So when you see me crying on camera, it's because I had no idea
They were coming.
They were coming.
Sure.
We thought we were getting ready to 3, 2, 1, go, start the finale.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden your family comes
There's
out.
your
Man.
family. Wow.
And then you've got a...
That makes me really want to watch
They really
season
thought
3.
it out, and they really did it. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, you have to... Because really, you get your adrenaline's up because you think you're getting ready to start, and now your heartstrings are being tugged at. And then you got to gear back up mentally to compete again, because now, I mean, it's literally down to the final 3, and
Right.
then the money, the truck, and the title.
It's already super emotional because your family's there.
Yeah. So
I got a couple comments.
Okay.
Yes, Carol, my knee would go out again if I tried to do what Murph did. No doubt. I had knee surgery a couple weeks ago. Jandy says, how much different was the edited, aired version from what really was filmed? And Bev says, hey guys. So he kind of answered that
Bev.
question, really.
Yeah,
I mean, it was all legit and real, and they just
Right.
picked what they needed for the show.
yeah. So the best way to answer is, so let's say if you're building a birdhouse out of Legos. The amount of Legos you're going to get to build this birdhouse is going to fill up a dump truck. So that's how much filming they do for 40 minutes of TV.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, and then they put together the show, but everything that you saw on the show was real. Nothing was
Right.
cut. Let's do that again. It didn't look right. They might have you redo something because they missed an angle, but that was it. Like, it wasn't, hey, Murph didn't win, so let's re-film this scene of
Right.
none of that. It was 100% real. So the neat thing about watching the show, because I had no sneak peeks, I watched the episodes when everybody else watched them.
Oh, that's cool.
So the neat part, I did get to see the first episode as a sneak peek, but other than that, we watched every episode just like everybody else did. But the neat part was hearing what everybody else said on camera during their interviews, because you don't know when you do.
You've never seen them.
Yeah, you've never seen them. When
Yeah.
you do your individual interviews, you're off by yourself. It's the audio, the camera, and then whatever producer is doing your interview, talking to you, and so none of your castmates, and you're not allowed to talk to your castmates about what you're interviewed about. So when you get to hear them talk, it was
For the first time.
Yeah, so it was very cool to see, what their take on it was, or how maybe I made a crappy decision and it affected everything, and
Right.
but we really talked respectfully of each other. I think for the most part, nobody, we owned up to our own mistakes. We didn't point fingers, but it was still neat to hear the comments of your fellow cast members talk
That's
about.
cool.
That would be cool.
That's neat.
Wow.
So nothing was manipulated. It was just purely edited and put together.
Yeah, exactly.
So, cool.
That's awesome. I hate to move on from it, but we're watching a little bit again.
Watching
I'm
the
really
time.
interested, like, what's your passion now?
Yeah.
You made it through. and
After
now
the
you
show.
you have a blessing, so you have a platform, and is there something that just really moves you, and like, what's your passion?
Well, so everybody knows I'm a retired Marine, so veteran affairs and helping other veterans out. So the show's done a lot of great things for that. So for example, I have senators and congressmen's cell phones on my phone that I would never have.
Sure.
Connections, cool.
I've had congressmen and congresswomen come to my office specifically to talk to me about the show and how they can serve the veteran community of Missouri better.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
And they're like, hey, if you have something, let me know. So it was neat to have a direct line to the representatives. I've got to do some veteran projects, different things with veteran communities, a few radio stations in the Kansas City area, and I are going to hopefully do a few more things to promote veteran affairs, and just pointing veterans in the right direction. So being a greater voice for the Missouri veteran is really what the show has enabled me to do.
So it took your passion and just opened doors to it.
Yeah, because when I retired from the Marine Corps, like I wasn't ready to retire. I retired because I wanted to watch my kids grow up. So when I retired from the Marine Corps, I separated myself from everything military. I wouldn't be part of the VFW, the American Legion, the Marine Corps League. I wanted nothing to do with the veteran community because I was afraid that if I was doing these things, I would miss the Marine Corps so much. So I just totally separated from the military, everything.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, I wouldn't even, when my friends would have like reunions, I didn't go, like to meet my buddies and stuff. So, and I thought that was the right thing to do. And then the more I thought about it, like it wasn't the right thing to do. So now veterans that are transitioning or having a hard time to transition, I like to talk to them about the things that I think would help them, the things that I did right and the things I did wrong. And I try to encourage them to find, their tribe, so to speak. Find that group of people that you can share stuff with.
And it sounds like you're all about relationships. You are all about doing life together and relationships. And just listening to you talk tonight, like I can totally get to know who you are, outside of the show.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm really quiet. And like I've lived in my same neighborhood for 8 years, but I don't know any of my neighbors. I get home from work.
Well, get on that, man.
Shut the door.
Get on that.
So
maybe they need you too.
Yeah, because I'm really a quiet person by nature. But
Sure.
to help somebody out, I'll do so. Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. So you definitely seem, compassionate towards people and towards veterans. That's really cool.
Yeah. So my job at the University of Central Missouri now is to. So I talk to veterans. Well, once COVID is over and we're able to travel a little bit more, I'll be going out to like military bases, talking to them about why UCM is a good school for the military students or military family member. I've been asked to talk to the alumni that are veterans or have served that were in ROTC and connect them back to the university, or at least give them a point of contact if they're interested in volunteering their time with the university. So I'm kind of the tie-in between UCM and the UCM veteran student.
Very cool.
We have a comment from Pamela Taylor.
That's my mom.
Oh, is that mom?
That's my mom.
Hey, what's up, Mom?
That's my mom. Hi, Mom.
Says still working, but I wanted to say I look forward to listening to this later. I enjoyed watching the show last year. So happy you won the competition. You were our choice.
Well, thank you.
So we got people sharing it, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm just kind of flipping through here. Yeah, I think we caught most of the comments from what I could see, but now there's a question from Jandy Neal, and I kind of brought this up earlier, Murph.
She's our lady who asks questions.
Her question is Christ part of your life?
Yes. Absolutely.
There it is. There it is. And you know what? You can tell, like I said, just who you are tonight. You can tell it that you have a relationship with Christ. So
yeah, I established it many years ago. I had a Marine that was a very influential person that kept asking me to go to church, and I kept telling him no. And then he finally, I surrendered, went, and then I surrendered totally.
there we go.
That's awesome.
That's very cool, man. Very cool.
Well, I wouldn't be a good pastor if I didn't invite you to church this Easter Sunday, brother.
Well, I appreciate it.
So I got to do my job.
Put a little plug in there, huh?
Right.
I didn't
Little-
say, I'm just
Little
saying,
shameless plug.
Gotta invite you to church. So,
Absolutely, man.
you know, open doors. I'd love
Sure,
to see you.
sure.
And also, and seriously, you know, if you ever get time to come to Johnson County Christian Academy,
Oh man, they love it. They
the kids would love
it, man.
to. And we know you're busy, but we're not too far down the road. You know,
Well,
just give me a shout or something.
Yeah, just let me know. That one good thing about UCM's allowed me the opportunity during working hours to go out and talk to groups.
Mm.
Okay.
So that's why I'm going to the Show Me Christian home on the 12th of April to talk to the young men, young ladies out there.
That's a great program out there, man.
Yeah, it's something that the university likes for me to do is not, and it doesn't help promote them, but they know that sharing the show with other people is a good thing.
Yeah.
So they allow me to go out and do things like that.
Okay.
So I
Very
do a lot
cool.
of speaking with kids, a lot of Zoom calls. I do.
Well, we're letting people in. I mean, we're at the point now that, you
Yeah.
know, I would gladly, like I said, we have recruiters come in today and talk to some of our juniors. But anyway, I'll reach out to you next week or so and work with your schedule. That'd be
That'd be
amazing
neat.
for
That'd
the
be really
kids. That'd be cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'd love
Well-
to. I bring the. I mean, I've got the championship belt in my truck, so.
Good. Well, we have to go back to the truck and see it and put it on camera, man.
Absolutely.
Jandy
So-
said, she's the one to ask you the question about Christ. She said, awesome. I just couldn't let this broadcast end without mentioning God.
Yep.
We appreciate that, Jandy. We love seeing you she's like every week she's on with us.
Yeah.
Claudia said, do you keep in contact with, this may be popping in later because
Yeah, I think he answered that one earlier. but
yeah. Cool. Any last questions or comments for Murph or anything? You guys pop them on here and we'll get to it. Murphy, we're having Einstein's Bagel for sunrise service. She wants you
Carol,
to church
Carol's
too, brother.
pushing you.
Huh?
She's pulling on your stomach strings.
Yeah, she
Yes,
knows.
she is.
She knows my eating
But we are
habits.
having a sunrise service at 7 and then a regular
That's
one
funny.
at 11.
That's funny.
Anyway.
Well, cool. Any final words before we just kind of log off and call it a night, man?
I can't think. Wino season 2 is on now. I think they have 2 more episodes left.
Okay.
So hopefully it'll end in a good fashion, meaning that it ends just as well as season 1 did when it comes to the friendships that people started on the show. Hopefully they continue the friendships that they established on the show.
Now, you may not be able to answer this, but are you going to be brought back for that? Do you think, or
All I
you just say you can't
Millions
answer
of
it?
dollars, Dale. Millions of
Yeah.
dollars, man. Remember?
All I can tell you is hopefully if the show continues to be a success, they'll be an all-stars.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, and then
That'd be neat, man. That'd be neat.
so you just have to stay tuned. So
Stay
to speak
tuned.
on that
Stay tuned.
one.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Give us one last, just kind of life application, not show related, just life application. If you can say, man, I want you all to know this.
Yeah, I would say that if you ever have an opportunity, take advantage of it. So, for example, if I would have passed up the opportunity to do the show, I would have never had the opportunity again. Because you never know. I'd rather live life thinking I tried it and I sucked at it
Right.
than spending the rest of my life going, well, I wonder what would happen if. So,
God, that's good,
I'd
man.
rather-
That's good.
So I try to live life by taking advantage of every opportunity. Even if I fell at it, at least I tried it and I know it wasn't for me.
Very cool, man. Good stuff.
I think that's
man
a great point to
to end on.
call it a
Yep.
night on.
So, guys, we're gonna call it a night.
Yeah. Murph, thank you.
Yeah, we do.
It's nice meeting you, and we really appreciate you taking. I know you're busy and to hang out with us, and it was. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Well, thanks
Yeah.
for having me.
Do you guys want to see the belt before we go? You guys want to see it?
Oh, we got the belt.
Because we said it's in his truck, right?
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, it's in the backseat of the
We're
truck.
like right here, man.
Oh, yeah,
we're
yeah,
back at the
yeah.
dealership, so we're gonna let Murph hop out of the truck real quick, grab the belt, and at least just show it to you guys, and then we will end it and call it a night.
Yeah, Fred just jumped in. Hang on, Fred. We got something cool. Murph's gonna show us some cool
That's
stuff.
right. That's right. Well, he's hopping out. Dale and I do want to give a massive shout out, like we always do, to Warrensburg Ford for putting us in this truck tonight to do this conversation with Murph. It's really cool of them. 2021 F250 Power Stroke Platinum Edition vehicle. So
It's a beautiful truck.
It's nice, man.
You know what? I'm
It's nice.
one of these guys like, oh man, new trucks are so expensive.
Right.
In
Right.
today's market and everything, it's worth every penny. After
Yep.
being in it and seeing it, it's an awesome, awesome
So Warrensburg
truck.
Ford, thank you guys for all you do for us. And here it is, guys. We got the champ.
There we go.
There we go.
We got it.
Right there in the
Look
middle,
at
man.
That's
Woo, that is
sweet.
shiny. That is cool,
That's
man. Look
cool.
at that.
Here.
Boom. Look at that. That is the tough as nails champ belt. That's heavy, dude.
Yeah, it's
That's
I
legit.
gotta
Yeah, it's
check
real.
this out.
That's, I was gonna say, that's not some
There you go.
plastic little, you know.
yeah, it's it came with the certificate of authenticity
Uh-huh.
from the owner of the company.
Wow.
So
cool.
it's the same company that makes like MMA belts and WWF
That is cool,
belts,
man.
so-
That is
I
cool.
love it.
What a
I
way to
love
end the
it.
night, man.
That's sweet, man. Congratulations.
Seriously,
everybody,
congrats.
too, man. That's
Um,
awesome.
You know, we appreciate not only the show, but who you are.
Well, I
So
appreciate it.
we really
Thanks.
do. So, in the meantime, guys, until next Thursday, I'm Jonathan,
I'm Deal.
I'm Murph.
and you're watching Straight Up Guide Talk. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
God bless you.